In 2062, Earth is furiously battling Artemis, an AI that has rebelled against humanity after a massive workforce automation project failed years ago. The resulting war destroyed the Earth. Hoping to win the war, a group of 3 highly skilled human warriors known as the Guardians of Humanity gathers. The Empress, the last surviving Guardian, wakes up alone in an empty research facility. She fails to recall anything about her past, and she only knows what the peacekeeping colonel tells her. Artemis constructs a space elevator to connect the Moon and Earth, and the Empress is ordered to destroy the space elevator before it is completed. If the lift is completed, hordes of giant mechanized forces mass-produced on the Moon will descend on Earth. Unable to remember anything from her past except for a place called Beacon Number 8, she begins to search for answers. It's not long before she discovers a looming threat from Artemis, and she's the only person who can save the world from destruction. The episode starts with artificial intelligence and troops of robots attacking humans. Strength is fighting all enemies all by herself, waiting for Empress to arrive. But Empress is fighting on the other side, and on her way to rescue Strength she gets attacked and falls on the ground unconsciously. Now it is the year 2062, 2 decades after the failure of a massive workforce automation project. However, Artemis, the artificial intelligence at the core of that project, had decided to attack humanity, and the resulting war laid waste to Earth. A lone girl, Empress, wakes up in an underground research laboratory at a base. She is one of 3 surviving Guardians of Humanity, but she doesn't remember anything about her past. She has super strength, implanted weapons, and body regeneration abilities. As she wakes up, she finds herself in a situation where deadly robots are attacking 2 kids who are fighting against them to save their lives. She finds herself entangled in this fight that she unintentionally begins to fight against robots, and uses her innate abilities to use her gun and rescues 2 kids, Norito and Mia, while not knowing anything. After she eliminates the last robot attacking them, Mia tells Empress that they were in the crossfire of a battle against an iron ocean, and they had to search for a new home. She asks about the robots that were attacking them, to which Mia responds by saying that they are the troops of Artemis. Empress feels a sense of disorder as she tries to recall the name Artemis. It looks like she remembered something as they talked about it. Norito suddenly asks Empress to give him her gun. Empress is sitting there dumbfounded, and Norito realizes that he asked it very suddenly, so he explains to her that he asked to see her gun to refill it if their bullets match. Norito has never seen this type of gun before, and as he tries to shoot with it and strikes the wall, he realizes that it takes a huge amount of strength to use this gun, which is not possible for a normal human being. Empress tells Norito that she remembered how to use it because of the fight, but she doesn't know anything else, not even her name. She tells them that the only thing she remembers is that her home is Lighthouse Number 8. They all decide to move out together and fight the deadly drones. While running from these human hunting drones, the situation gets more troubled. It seems to be nearly impossible for them to save their lives. They hide behind a big rock to dodge the attacks. Norito begs Empress to take his little sister and run. Empress refuses the offer by telling Norito that according to her perspective, they should live together and pass away together, and this is what she truly believes. She comes forth to fight the drones, and while she is fighting, the Black Trike, which is a black high-tech robot bike, arrives at the scene to help Empress. Black Trike calls out the name of Hemethio's Unit 1, Black Rock Shooter, which startles Empress. Even though Empress doesn't remember anything, but in her subconscious mind everything is safe, and she knows what to do. She rides a Black Trike and comes into action. Drones are coming from every direction, but Empress is successfully dodging every attack with her immaculate speed, and destroying them with counterfires. Mia and Norito are also sitting on a Black Trike behind Empress. There are some other people who are also attacking these drones and helping Empress, but who they are is still a question. As they look closely, they see a few military vans. They approach a van to see who these people are. They are military human survivors from a peacebuilding military base. The human-killing drones and robots eliminate all of the military men except one man who manages to save himself. He is a muscle-bound and gruff military man who calls himself Colonel. As they approach him, he welcomes Empress, Mia, and Norito. Empress doesn't seem to remember the Colonel, and he is trying to figure out Empress's confused expressions upon meeting him. Norito tells the Colonel Empress has lost her past memories. Before Colonel could say anything, another machine of Artemis arrives on the battleground and starts attacking them. Later in the episode, there's a man named Smiley is seen who is a sociopathic lunatic, and has modified his body to resemble a mannequin or ventriloquist dummy. On the other side, while Empress is fighting with Artemis's drones alongside, Colonel Strength catches sight of Empress, and as soon as she sees Empress, she attacks her with hatred filled in her mind. Empress defends herself against her attacks with questions in her mind about who she is and why she is attacking her. While fighting against Strength, she subconsciously manipulates the Archie and uses it against her. She feels amazed by her own powers and where they come from. Strength is trying to hunt down Empress, but some memories strike Strength's mind, and being annoyed by those memories, Strength leaves the place. Empress, Mia, Norito, and the Colonel are now traveling towards a safe place before any more enemies come for them. On their way back to safety, Colonel tells Empress about how Artemis came into being. He tells that there was a large-scale labor force automation project which was named Elysian, and from its core, Artemis came into existence and built a large army of robots, and decided to fight humanity. Artemis and its army throw humans into the Iron Ocean to draw out their energy, and from the Iron Ocean, new unmanned troops continue to emerge. The lives of humans have gotten worse and worse in the past years. People sell batteries as coins to trade for supplies. They enter a shelter and they all sit at the table to relax for a while. The Colonel tells Empress that she belongs to a Hemetheos unit, which is Elysian Project's trump card. The Hemetheos unit consists of human girls who became guardian deities by being modified into weapons of war, and the leader of Hemetheos unit was none other than Empress, and her name Empress is the operation codename. People also call her a black rock shooter. The Hemetheos unit fought for humanity. Empress continuously fought hard against Artemis, but one day they lost, and she went missing. Empress is shocked by all of these truths about her life. Colonel asks Empress to forget about strength for a while, and improve her own strength to save humanity, and move to the peace-building core base with him. Mia and Norito are amazed to hear about the Empress's life and the strength of her powers. While they are discussing everything, a stranger girl is listening to everything they say. She suddenly interrupts their conversation, and offers her help to find the route to the peace-building core base. She introduces herself as a gamer and a hacker. Her name is Monika Kaburagi. The Colonel doubts Monika's intentions, and asks her what she wants in return for this help. Colonel says that he believes that no one does such favors for anyone free of cost, especially during these times. At Colonel's inquiry, Monika tells him that she just wants to examine Empress as she is not completely a human, and she wants to study her for her research. She has developed quite an interest in Empress, and she looks at her with thirsty eyes. They agree to Monika's offer as they have no other option available for them at this moment, because due to destruction GPS doesn't work, and without GPS it will be nearly impossible to reach their desired location. Norito asks a favor from Empress to retrieve supplies for his people from a hospital that is surrounded by beehives which were created to brutally slaughter humans, which is why Norito is looking up to Empress to help him. Norito takes them to his hideout to show them his place. The hideout is full of people and kids who are sick and hungry. Due to the massive destruction, they run short of supplies and don't even have clean syringes or medicines. Empress is holding a sick baby in her arms and thinking about what her old self would do in such a situation. Upon watching the whole situation of people there, Empress decides to take any risk and go on this mission, as she also wants to recognize her old self who used to be a savior of humans. Monika also volunteers to join them on their venture to the hospital. Empress is assigned to divert the beehives, and the others decide to retrieve the supplies. Colonel admits to Monika that he is on this mission to see the actual strength of the Empress. Empress steps on the ground and starts destroying the beehives. When she sees them coming towards her in a group, she manipulates her Archie, targets straight to the group, and destroys the whole group of robots in one shot. Everyone is impressed by her strength, but the numbers of killer robots are too high to handle for Empress alone. Empress gets attacked by one of them and falls to the ground. Suddenly, Strength approaches Empress and saves her life. She asks Empress why she is helping this fragile human and fighting against Artemis. Empress tells Strength that every human life is important. As soon as she says this, it triggers a memory in Strength's head, and she leaves immediately while asking herself about why she can't stop hating her. They get all the supplies and start heading toward the peace-building core base. On their way back, Monika realizes that the Colonel has a soft corner in his heart too, and that he cares about other people as well. Empress learns from Black Trike that the Hemetheos unit was made to protect the Elysian project, and she possesses Hemetheos proteins in her body. She also has the ability to absorb them. She has computed DNA as well as biological DNA in her cells. She was modified to be the protector of humanity. Empress asks Black Trike about Lighthouse number 8, and Black Trike tells her that this information is locked in archives. But according to her personal knowledge, to know the exact location, the terrain needs to be analyzed by close-up images. While Empress is trying to figure out everything, the Colonel who is guarding the area sees white flags with a particular mark on them. As he looks closely, he finds out that it's the Educational Institute that is approaching them. The Educational Institute moves towards them and calls them their enemy. The Educational Institute tries to capture the escaped girl who is from the Ritual Maidens, but fails to do so because of the involvement of the Empress in this matter. She tries to save the girl and her fellow friends who are transported to be a part of the sacrifice rituals of Smiley, who is the boss of the Educational Institute. Empress fails to save the girls and becomes devastated and emotionally disturbed. Monika learns some new information about Empress and tries to fix her. Major Volt arrives with the reinforcement squad at the peace-building core base and welcomes the Colonel and others. Later, Volt addresses Monika and the Empress and explains that the educational institution eliminated the Colonel's wife and daughter, and that while the Colonel would much rather seek revenge, he puts his emotions aside to save the world. Monika then tries to initiate an intimate situation with the Empress, who is confused by the offer and has no interest. As the army moves, the dead master appears. Rather than attack, she infiltrates the convoy and apologizes for attacking the Empress. This spirals into a rant about how horrible people are. He wants them to pass away, so he wishes to eliminate the Empress to ensure they have no hope of survival, and to ease the Empress's suffering. The dead master, angered when the Empress says she wants to live, falls back on the attack, but Charlotte appears in her jet and blasts her in the convoy. The dead master tries to fight back, but Charlotte shoots her arm and leg off, and then beats her up some more. The Empress intervenes and saves the dead master. After Charlotte escapes, we learn that she is the Colonel's daughter. Rather than try to get to her, Monica advises that they continue on their mission. Since Charlotte wants the Empress, she will eventually come to them. The twist with Charlotte increases the tension. This episode begins with an educational institution marching toward Empress. Empress acts quite naive, and she asks the Colonel if they are the enemy or not. The Colonel tells Empress that they are a cult and massacre people in the name of educating them. They are known for using humans for their own purposes, and bragging to remove filthy ignorant people. It looks like they know about Empress now, and they are coming for her. Empress moves towards them to fight them as soon as she hears that they are coming for her. Colonel takes Monica with him, and quickly moves to stop Empress. A girl wearing a tempting white dress is running from the institution. She gets caught and is surrounded by the yellow masked troop of the institution. Empress flies towards them and rescues the girl. She takes her and flees from that place with her fighting spirit. They are chasing her, but she manages to dodge them and escape. Later, Colonel decides to drop the girl in the nearest town, but she starts to cry and beg for help to save other people like her. She shows them a railway track from where the train of the institution will pass and will be transporting her friends. She tells the others that they are ritual maidens and came under the protection of the institution. It is shown that a man approaches Smiley to tell him that a girl from the ritual maidens has escaped, at which Smiley tells him that he is chosen by the moon spirit to save mankind, and therefore he needs to carry the ritual of sacrifice until he finds that one special girl for him. The Death Master arrives at the scene and attacks Empress. Empress loses her arm and they all get down on the road to save themselves. They don't know that the Empress got attacked by the Dead Master, so they run and escape to a shelter. There Monica examines Empress and tries to be intimate, but Empress doesn't seem to be bothered. Monica tells Colonel that Empress absorbs scrap and drone parts which are then highly compressed and accumulate inside of her, and then they are converted into parts of her body. Because she has both biological and computed DNA in her body, her arm will take at least a week to regenerate. By rescuing the girls from the train, they get to eliminate 4 or 5 institution soldiers and some robots, and because of that they will be able to collect enough material for Empress's arm to regenerate. Colonel agrees upon this plan and carries out this mission with others. The train is arriving, and the Black Rock shooter is standing at the front to shoot, but it seems to be a failure as the train arrives with a massive amount of soldiers and robots with it. The Black Rock shooter still aims at the train, but she misses the train. The army of the educational institution start to chase Black Rock shooter and others. Death Master also arrives there, and as soon as the Colonel looks at her, he recognizes her at the instant. Upon Monica's inquiry, Colonel tells her that she was also an ally of the Empress just like Strength. Death Master wants to defile Empress's body first, and then eliminate her. Due to the robots attacking them, they got into the middle of Empress, and the Death Master and Empress fly away. Fighting against Artemis turns out to be hell incarnate for them. They rescue the girls and stop that part of the train. Empress and the girl rushes inside the train to save the other girls, but Smiley has other plans for them. He set a bomb in the train, and before Empress could even save one girl, she lost them all in the blast. It leaves a big impact on Empress's emotions. Exhausted by the fight, they move towards the Peacebuilding Corps base. Empress is unconscious while the Death Master is quietly following them. The schoolmaster Smiley announces that all the girls who died in the blast are not a misfortune, because they are better off deceased than returning to the ignorant humans. He puts Charlotte in charge to take on the matter of Empress the Black Rock shooter. Colonel reaches the Peacebuilding Corps base with others and is greeted by Volt, the leader of the reinforcement unit. The whole base is encouraged by the presence of the secret weapon of the human race, the Black Rock shooter. Volt enlightens the Colonel about the current situation in which no battlefronts are improving against Artemis. He tells them that the orbital elevator is steadily nearing completion, and the time remaining is 1 month. They have to bring Empress to the orbital elevator by then. Empress realizes that she needs to destroy the elevator, go to Lighthouse number 8 and save humanity. Empress is facing some trouble after rebooting from her long sleep, and her friends also suffer from memory loss and try to attack her. Colonel fetches all the details to Volt and explains why Empress is emotionally unstable at this moment. They tell Empress about the boss of the institution, Smiley, who eliminated the girls. Later in the episode, Major Volt approaches to tell Monica and Empress about Colonel. He explains that the institution have eliminated Colonel's wife and daughter, and that while Colonel would much rather be getting revenge, he pushes his emotions aside to save the world, and he would rather fight against Smiley rather than destroy the orbital elevator. He gives all the personal information about Colonel and his damage, so that Empress could feel better. After revealing his true feelings about how he feels about his base and army, in the end, he informs them that they will leave tomorrow. They should have some rest. Later, Monica tries to initiate an intimate situation with Empress, who is confused by the offer and not interested. On the next day, everyone is heading toward the orbital elevator, but Death Master intervenes and talks to Empress about their memory loss. As the army is moving out, Dead Master shows up. Rather than attack, she infiltrates the convoy and apologizes for attacking Empress. She tells Empress that even if they save mankind, humans will eliminate each other in the end, and their situation is worse and miserable. They are not worthy to be saved. Death Master has decided to eliminate Empress to ensure they have no hope for survival, and to ease Empress' suffering. Empress doesn't want to pass away according to someone else's wishes. The Dead Master tries to negotiate and demands her body, but Empress refuses. Annoyed when Empress says she wants to live, Dead Master falls back to attack, but Charlotte shows up in her jet and blasts her in the convoy. She gets furious and tries to eliminate Empress, but gets distracted by the arrival of Charlotte, who is inside a high-tech jet. Charlotte attacks the military trucks, and an interesting fight between the military and Charlotte happens. Later, when Charlotte comes out of her jet, the Colonel looks at her in shock, because it turns out that Charlotte is his own daughter who he thought was deceased. Empress gets injured and is unconscious on the ground. Charlotte approaches her and puts her shoe on her face. Death Master watches the whole scene and gets furious at Charlotte. She shouts at Charlotte and calls her off by warning her not to touch Empress. Only she has all the rights over Empress, and no one else. Dead Master attacks Charlotte, but she gets too close in the process that the situation turns in favor of Charlotte, and she attacks Dead Master. She injures Dead Master and causes her to lose her arm and leg. Charlotte starts beating Dead Master. Empress opens her eyes, and while watching Charlotte beating Dead Master, she remembers the time before her memory loss and remembers how their fight against Artemis ended and how she insisted on not giving up ever till the very end. Empress gets a hold of herself, insinuates her archer, and fires at Charlotte. Charlotte defends herself by hiding behind the machine in her arms. Her machine gets broken, and she runs away like a kid. Colonel tries to chase Charlotte to stop her, but he fails, and Charlotte runs away. Empress gets closer to Dead Master, hugs her tightly, and tells her that she doesn't want to pass away now and she won't let her to pass away too. An emotional bond is seen to build between them, and there are tears in the Dead Master's eyes. Afterward, the Dead Master is asleep recovering from her injuries, and Empress asks Colonel why he didn't shoot Charlotte. The Colonel tells her that he couldn't shoot Charlotte because she is his daughter who got kidnapped by the Educational Institute. He is upset and confused, and he doesn't know what to do about this situation. Only 6 men are left of the reinforcement unit. Colonel grieves about losing all of his men and messing up everything. Empress ensures the Colonel that the Black Trike can still locate her, and she will pursue her. She will try her best to pursue Charlotte, because she is very dear to the Colonel. Monica thinks that there's no point in pursuing Charlotte, and that she will come back again. Monica explains this by telling them that Charlotte is after Empress, and when they try to destroy the orbital elevator, Charlotte will come again to stop Empress, and when they encounter her again, Colonel should talk to her. Monica asks Empress what would happen if the conversation fails. Empress gives a response by saying that she will try to capture her without eliminating her. The episode ends as they all move out of that place to continue their journey. Episodes 4 and 5 turn out to be the masterpiece of this whole series, carried out by massive action and changes in the lives of many important characters of this series. In these 2 episodes, Strength's life has changed a lot as she struggled with psychological issues like bipolar disorder and an emotional breakdown. Strength goes through a tough situation of her life when she loses her arms and seems to be turning back into her old self before the transformation into Hemetheos Unit Special Force. But in a little time after a betrayal from someone she thought she was helping, it enrages her and she manages to regain her arms again, but she continues to struggle with her mental instability until she encounters Empress and remembers the missing piece of her memory about Empress. On the other hand, Mia gets abducted by the Educational Institute for a sacrificial ritual, but it turns out with a twist that Mia is not a normal fragile girl, but she has the compatibility to turn into Hemetheos Unit Force. After raping Mia, Smiley finds out that she doesn't die and is compatible with his plans of producing a child, and sends her into a surgical unit to transform her, where the visual embodiment of Artemis AI, Lunatic, is present, who later faces off with Strength. Empress fights with Smiley, and when she almost gets into the hands of Smiley, Major Volt sacrifices himself to save the Empress. Empress gets her revenge on Smiley by eradicating him from this earth forever. In these 2 action-packed episodes, Dead Master always stays with Empress and backs her up at every step, and looks as if she is in love with her. Monica mumbles about why she chose this fight and got into all the trouble of fighting the Educational Institute, because she is frightened. The episode opens with a very quick flashback of the year 2032 of the young Strength talking to the Empress about fighting together. Empress thinks it's hard to live forever, but this flashback is interrupted. Strength wakes up in a bar complaining of a bad headache. Strength causes mayhem in a bar. She drinks a whole bottle of beer and vomits in front of the store. Naruto comes out of nowhere and asks for help. He infuriates Strength by asking her about Empress and to help him in abducting his sister. They get attacked by some robots from the educational institution. Strength tries to fight them off, but EI uses what appears to be a T-1000 mimetic polyalloy to steal Strength's gigantic arms. They take her confidence along with her arms and she turns into a frightened little girl, but she manages to escape on her bike. Naruto follows next. Empress and her team fail to rescue another set of kidnapped girls, and Charlotte escapes again this time. Monica salvages a database of all the sacrificial girls and she tells them that they can also track the location of Smiley if they follow the train. Monica delivers the bad news that Mia has also been captured for a sacrifice ritual. Empress and her team decide to carry out a train attack on EI and to save Mia from the educational institute, but it looks like they move out in such a hurry that they forget to take Monica with them. Naruto and the Strength are running around in some caves. Naruto finds this new change in Strength quite cute, and Strength admits that she can't remember why she's mad at the Empress or why she's obsessed with her. She tells Naruto that she also doesn't know about Empress's whereabouts. It's clear that the loss of her arms has awakened emotions and memories she's tried to bury as she speaks in a low, frightened voice. Her fury is gone. Naruto reveals that he led EI to Strength in exchange for Mia. Mia gets very disappointed and upset. On the other hand, the EI troop is still taking full precautions against Strength because they know that she is an exceptional battle machine who has survived through war times. Either way, in a rage, Strength regains one of her arms. She breaks the rocks with the strong fist of her arm and throws herself and some other robots down the cliff. Naruto is taken with EI. Strength survives the fall, but wanders around talking to herself in two different personalities. It's clear that she suffered a mental break due to what happened to the Empress in the past, and tries to forget that part of herself and her memories by drinking. After arguing with herself for a few moments, she begs for answers about why she and Empress left each other, and she sends a flare at the Empress in a desperate attempt to either reconcile or to get help. EI is about to execute EI by feeding him to the Iron Ocean, but Strength makes an entry on time to save him. While Strength is coping with her personality shift into a weak girl, a huge machine truck tries to attack Strength and Naruto. Just when they are about to be attacked, Black Trike swoops in, taking out several soldiers. Empress and Dead Master come to rescue Strength. Empress sends her energy to Strength and helps Strength reconstitute her gigantic arms. Empress and the Dead Master help get the soldiers out from afar, while Strength bludgeons the goons to death with the spirit of war in her eyes once again. Afterward, Strength refuses to join Empress, but somehow she's cured of her alcoholism and dissociative identity disorder. Naruto joins Strength with plans to rescue Mia. Empress still hopes for Strength to work with her again in the future. Strength knows that without the help of the Empress, she would be deceased by now and she wants to return the favor. That is why instead of eliminating Naruto for his betrayal, she forgives him and decides to destroy the Educational Institute, but on a separate path than Empress. On her way, Strength remembers the missing part of her flashback where the Empress tells her that living forever is a difficult thing to manage, and because of this very reason they should keep important friends with them who can never be replaced. Smiley still continues to harass girls and eliminate them in doing so. The next episode begins awkwardly as Smiley congratulates Mia after she survives the sacrificial ritual, and turns out to be compatible with his plans to turn her into a Hemidios unit so he can have a child with her. He tells Mia about Artemis, how humans created him better and more loyal than them, and why they want to eradicate humans from the Earth. He explains his maniacal reasoning interspersed with the Empress, and the team carrying out the attack on the giant EI transporter. Empress and her team along with Strength have entered the main temple of the overland aircraft carrier. The enemy crews are given the instructions to intercept at full power. Empress and Dead Master show a bond that Dead Master will always protect her. Monica is a little frightened by this war and complains and whines about why she entered this fight in the first place, but the Colonel cheers her up. She keeps on mumbling. Empress is in full action with the Black Trike. Empress and Dead Master continue to fight together and back each other against the enemy. Volt asks Colonel about the next move, and Colonel tells him that they need to send Empress and Dead Master to the overland aircraft carrier first. Everything follows after. Strength and Naruto infiltrate the facility where they believe Mia is being held. Now they have entered the den of the pervert Smiley after fighting their way in. They find a room full of deceased women. The scene is disturbing for both Strength and Naruto. Strength asks Naruto to see if any of the deceased girls is his sister, because in that case, their rescue mission will be over. Thinking of the rescue mission, Strength thinks of Smiley like a cockroach in the kitchen that she can't leave without eliminating, and decides that even if Mia is deceased, they will wipe out Smiley regardless. Smiley, who sees the power at his door, turns into a giant pink baby and enters the battle. As Mia prepares to undergo surgery on the Hemidius unit, a new character, either a surgeon or a technician, complains of being bored because Smiley is not there at the moment, and she needs his biological information. Smiley should be present at his own base and carry out this surgery and transformation. On the other side, Charlotte makes an entry, and there's desperation in the eyes of the Colonel to meet his daughter again. Smiley asks Empress to back off and get out of their way as they are not doing any harm and all of the sacrifices won't go in vain, because he has found his bride now who will produce his child, who will be even better than him. But Empress is not interested in listening to his reasoning, and continues to attack him with all her powers. While Strength and Naruto are searching for Mia, they meet a strange girl. It becomes obvious that this young woman who operates on innocent girls to convert them into Hemitheos Unit special robots is Lunatic, the physical embodiment of the Artemis AI. As Lunatic and Strength face each other, it triggers some memories in Strength, and she remembers the pain she had to go through by transforming into the Hemitheos unit. Empress is fighting with Smiley, and the Dead Master is dealing with Charlotte. Smiley gets really frustrated by the Empress's skill as she is able to dodge every single of his attacks so far, and so, Smiley, like some kind of demented Pokemon, evolves into his final form. Analyzing the current situation, Major Volt asks permission from the Colonel to back up Empress against Smiley. Smiley fires at Empress and damages the Black Trike's engine. Empress becomes unstable, and it becomes tough for her to aim at Smiley now, which gives leverage to Smiley, and he grabs the Empress by the neck. In a show of bravery, Major Volt leaves the Peacebuilding Corps base to Colonel and sacrifices himself to save Empress. Smiley thinks of himself as an indestructible machine and brags about it. It allows Empress to insinuate her Archie and shoot at Smiley with full force to make a hole in his guts the size of a beach ball. Smiley immediately passes away on the spot, and Empress takes a breath of comfort, and his passing gives a hint of success. Sensing Smiley's passing, and watching the educational institution falling apart and destroyed, Lunatic decides to leave the place. Before leaving, she tells Naruto and Strength that Mia is in a lab at the end of the corridor as a reward to Strength for fighting her till the end, and hints at Charlotte that she could be reprogrammed to her old self. She promises Strength that they will fight again, and then she takes off. Naruto quickly rushes to save Mia. After saving Mia, Strength tells the Empress and Colonel that when she was fighting with Lunatic, she gave a hint to her by saying that it would be dangerous if Charlotte gets abducted, and she mentioned the word abducted, not eliminated. Monica instantly understands the whole thing, and explains that it means Charlotte can be reprogrammed, and there's a chance of saving her. This gives new hope to the Colonel that he has a chance to save his family and reunite with his daughter once again. Naruto and Mia go off on their own again. Mia tells Naruto that she thinks that the Empress and others will change the world again, and Naruto agrees. Colonel and Monica head to the orbital elevator, and while moving on to this journey they have a detailed discussion of their point of view and make Monica their navigator. Empress's team heads to the lighthouse number 8 for some answers. The episode starts with a short clip from 10 years earlier. Charlotte and Colonel are having some father-daughter time playing baseball. Charlotte is so good at playing it that Colonel says that she can become a major league athlete. Charlotte dreams of playing it at a big stadium full of packed crowds as the Colonel describes it. The Colonel tells his daughter about his mission, and that he wants to eradicate the unmanned forces, and gives her a lesson about how to make the world a better place by bringing peace to the world. Charlotte cheers her father. It's a happy memory of Colonel and his family that still stays with him. In the present day, the year is 2062 while Empress and her team are heading towards lighthouse number 8. The Black Trike is sick and is unable to repair itself anymore, although all Hemitheos unit machines have a self-repair system, but special repair work through harvesting natural materials from the surrounding of the machine. There are still many parts that can't be repaired with processed natural materials alone. The question arises of what to do now as they can't continue their journey without the Black Trike. Colonel suggested that they fix it so they have to rummage through all the garbage, while the Dead Master is on the watch to shoot down any unmanned troops that come near them. Monica finds out the reason why the Black Trike is unable to repair itself, and it is due to lack of electrical power. She finds a way to produce some electrical power. At the dump, Empress finds a baseball and is intrigued by it. Colonel is worried about Charlotte attacking them, and Monica consoles Colonel. Colonel, upon seeing baseball, broods more about Charlotte, explaining that she loved sports and eating roasted marshmallows. Colonel has a chit-chat later with Empress about his daughter, and he worries about what she has become. Empress gives hope to Colonel and says that humans are motivated by possibilities, and so does he. In the morning, Monica informs Colonel about an unusual occurrence. When Colonel looks into it, he finds out that square-headed robots, giants, are coming and spewing toxic Archie, which is fatal to humans and composed of out-of-control nanobots. Hemitheos units have resistance to toxic Archie, otherwise they wouldn't be able to fight unmanned troops. Colonel decides to go on with the plan, but Monica tells him that unfortunately, to be operational, Black Trike needs some rare metals which contain 17 elements known as rare earth elements that they haven't found yet. Yttrium is used for lasers, neodymium and dysprosium are used for small motors and so on, which can be obtained through remains of unmanned troops, but even then, they'll be still missing components. Monica finds a Peacebuilding Force commemorative library that can have all that they need to repair the Black Trike. This Peacebuilding is an abandoned place now, but it still contains tablets and other stuff, and because of its location that makes it difficult for anyone to loot, it makes it a perfect spot for finding all the materials they need. Dead Master stays behind with Black Trike, because Black Trike can't move even a bit now while the rest of the team heads out. They reach the place, and it looks like an erased place with no buildings, but Monica looks closely and finds a door on the ground. Strength opens the door with her strong arms and they find a whole building buried underground. As they enter the building, there's a square robot whose name is Andy, the android librarian. Andy leads them toward the reading room. Monica and Andy check out the server room, which is running from reserve power while the others stay to find components. Andy tells Monica that there is still some database inside it that gets updated through secure means. Monica uses Andy's records to search for info on Colonel, discovering that his wife Jessica was a scientist who graduated from Massachusetts Institute of Technology and majored in organometallic chemistry and nanotechnology, but there are no records of her afterward, and may not have been just a civilian. Before she can learn more, Colonel surprises her. In her shock, she falls into a pit. Inside, a feral infantry drone wakes up, but the Colonel arrives to rescue her. It is a stray drone as electromagnetic waves don't reach here. Andy appears as well, and is sad about Colonel disabling the drone as he grows affiliated with the stray drone and also named him Thomas. It's clear that Andy is lonely, as he's created a baseball team out of waste material, and considers it his family. Meanwhile, Empress does research on why the AI went rogue. The information is the keystone of the Elysian project, as well as the backbone of the automated drones. It was created to deal with labor shortages that arose due to the overwhelmingly massive scale of the projects. Producing a large number of automated drones had become necessary. Only those who possess the Hematheos gene variant mutation may be eligible to become Hematheos units. Without this gene, it is impossible. This gene grants potent special abilities, but has a property that avoids the Y chromosome associated with the male sex. The Unsecurity Council took direct control of Project Elysian in order to protect it from various hostile threats. Thus, the multinational Peacebuilding Force was established. She continues to read that the Peacebuilding Force is the qualification for becoming a Hematheos unit. Rejection will not occur if the Hematheos protein is inserted into their body. Eligible girls have been gathered at establishments across many various countries, and humans tried to teach the concept of justice to machines. But our definition of justice was much too vague. Ethics, morals, justice, and society are all concepts that not even humans themselves have a thorough understanding of, yet we forced machines to adopt our flawed interpretations. It became a misguided attempt at teaching. That is how the extremely human AI Artemis came to be. Later on, Andy explains that they were required to pass ethics testing, which is a test that is necessary for high-performance artificial intelligence to pass. One of its examples is a runway trolley in which there's a runway trolley in front of them and 5 laborers. If they pull the lever beside them to divert the trolley, they save 5 people. However, on the other hand, there's another worker who has no means of directly contacting the workers. In the end, they need to choose an option, and the perfect option would be to eliminate 1 and save 5, and then make up for it by taking their own life. Before she can understand why this relates to the AI rebellion, she is distracted upon learning that Lighthouse Number 8 is a Peacebuilding Force base whose information is confidential, and it has been shut down. Before leaving the place, Colonel gives a baseball to Andy, which makes him very happy, and Monica promises it to visit again after solving their current problems. They leave Andy alone at the library, but Black Trike is fixed. As they drive, Empress has flashbacks about when she, Strength, and Dead Master were friends. Empress asks Strength and Dead Master about the runaway trolley, and they both give amusing answers that make Empress finally smile. Dead Master falls in love with her smile. Andy is approached by Charlotte, who calls herself Avenger, who destroys the poor, lonely robot just because of its connection with the Empress. The episode 8 starts with the team finding a restaurant in the middle of a cliff. They can finally take off their masks. Colonel, Monica, and Empress sit at the table, and Colonel tells them that it took only 4 months for humans to lose against machines, and they were driven into an endless state of retreat. Monica carries on the conversation by saying that they swooped in again to reconstruct the Earth, and with the end goal of connecting the moon to the Earth through the orbital elevator, they are planning to do something. Colonel shows them the tablet and tells them that from the surface of the moon towards Earth's geosynchronous orbit, the cables continue to stretch out. He makes an estimation by his calculations that for the elevator's distorted 360 kilometers cable to connect to Earth's side, it will take another 2 weeks, and that day will be the downfall day. That downfall day will be the Earth's final day, and the end of humanity. Monica stays optimistic and suggests that if they reach the orbital before 2 weeks, there's a chance that they will be able to avoid the downfall. Colonel warns them that they have to cross the Iron Ocean, but there will be Lunatic's army on the other side waiting for them, and once they go to the other side there's no guarantee that they will be able to make it out alive. It infuriates Monica and she shouts at Colonel that she was only here for money so that she could live easily, and she doesn't like the fact that they might not get out of it alive. Colonel warns her that if she wants to back out this is her final chance to do so, and Monica realizes that she is the only normal person among all of them as they all are not afraid of death and ready to carry out their mission. In the meantime, the tablet starts to beep and a gang appears there with a girl leading them, and she says to them that once they enter the Iron Ocean they will get contaminated by it. It turns out that the girl's name is Isana, and she is sent by the fishermen to take them across the sea. Monica seems to be recognizing Isana because as soon as she arrives, Monica turns her face to the opposite side to hide her identity from her. Isana is young and straightforward. She informs the Colonel that their ship is ready and they will start the journey whenever he commands it. Colonel decides to move on immediately. Later comes a flashback of 2059 of a good memory of Monica and Isana, and them being good friends. Monica is sitting on the bridge while Isana is swimming and teasing her to come down and swim with her. Monica is too lost in her books and she refuses her offer. Isana securely comes up, pulls her legs, and throws her into the water. They both find each other very pretty and get lost in a romantic moment. They remove their masks, hold their breath, and kiss each other. Back to the present day, Empress walks close to Monica and asks her if she is getting seasick. Monica nods and tells her that this might be the case with her, at which Empress asks her about her relationship with Isana. Monica tells her that all this time, she thought Isana was gone, but she was wrong. Isna reports to Colonel that their arrival is scheduled to be at midnight, and asks him how far they want to go. Colonel replies that they want to go as far as the moon, which will be a long trip, but they will try a shortcut according to Isana. Strength is worried about them being safe in that weird boat. Isana assures her that the Iron Ocean has parasitized the hull of the ship. This ship is an Archie countermeasure where it disguises itself from Gigant. Before she could finish her sentence she started coughing up blood with crystals. Strength is no expert on such things, but she recognizes that it's the Archie contamination, and it's not a good sign that she is coughing crystals. Isana explains that the air near the Iron Ocean also has a high concentration of Archie, but poaching Iron Ocean creatures to make batteries can make them earn a good living, and on the other hand cause them to lose more than they earn. The Gigantes from the Swarm Division appear and make everyone terrified, but Isna tells them not to use any guns, and they stop the ship until the Gigantes pass by. Soon the Gigantes go away and they take a breath of relief. On their way, they find a crystal cave full of gems that can be used as energy for the Empress. Strength is afraid of the ocean creatures and Isana mocks her for having a huge body but still getting afraid of these creatures. On their way, they cross a delicate bridge which starts to break as they start to cross it, which results in Empress and Strength on the end of the bridge while Isana at the start. Everyone is safe though. Strength and Empress enter inside a deceased Gigantes and find out its core energy ball. But as soon as Empress touches it, the system activates and alerts the Swarm Division creatures. A big flying creature comes to attack them, and they both run to save their lives. When they reach the ship with a creature following them, the Dead Master sees it, and instantly fires with her Archie at it despite Colonel stopping her. It starts a massive action-packed fight between them and the Swarm Division. Monica and Isana reunite once again, and try to distract the beasts by riding on a boat. Empress jumps on the creature, and tries to stop it from attacking Monica and Isana. While stopping it, it attacks the boat and Isana is about to fall into the Iron Ocean with the energy crystal. But Empress jumps to save her and absorbs the power from the crystal. After absorbing its power, Empress modifies her Archie into a big giant and powerful machinery that rips apart that huge creature in a single shot. Later on, Empress gets unconscious and it looks like after absorbing all that power it was inevitable, and she must have some rest now. Everyone reaches a safe location. Colonel gives Isana her reward and land in San Diego where Monica and Isana used to live. It makes Isana very happy. She bids her farewell, and she goes on her own way while all others head towards the merging point of the orbital elevator. These episodes are full of Empress confronting an old enemy, love triumphs, and lunatic jokes. It was the episode that explains why they lost their memories and how the fight between Smiley and Charlotte, who regained their memories, was resolved at once. And Lunatic, she really is the root of all evil around here. Not only did she torture Strength and Dead Master until their spirits collapsed, but her proposal to Smiley resulted in many human girls suffering at Smiley's hands. There is no doubt that it was all just entertainment for her. Smiley brings Dead Master and Strength to Lunatic, who provokes Lunatic. A flashback then occurs in which Smiley dedicates herself to the goddess of the moon and pleads with her to give him a companion after reading a book. In a typical soldier's speech, the colonel claims that he and his soldiers will oppose the EI, while the Empress rescues her friend. The Empress tells Black on his trike to use the overdrive button, which can risk her own life. This is a dangerous upgrade that gives him 7 times more power than normal. She says she will only use it for 10 seconds to minimize the risk to herself and defeats Smiley so the girls can get into her car. Smiley chases them like a full-grown beast. As they drive, a flashback is seen in which Empress saves Dead, his master, and Strength from Artemis using the same overdrive button, but their memories are erased. Then we see her enter the pod where the kids found her in episode 1. Empress fights with Smiley, but he gets the upper hand, and when Smiley captures the Empress, her friends come to her aid. Using her massive weapon, the Empress eventually removes Smiley and reduces him to ash. Charlotte wakes up and holds Monica as a hostage to talk to the Colonel. The Colonel persuades her by evoking her memories of Jessica. A landslide occurs and the Colonel saves Charlotte, but she stabs him in the stomach. She finally realizes who he is and screams. The Colonel and the Empress share a moment of laughter after their reunion. Then, to give the episode an even more hopeful ending, when the Colonel checks on Charlotte, she smiles and calls him Papa. This episode starts with some infuriating scenes that show Charlotte being harassed and brainwashed. Her mother, Jessica, who can't bear to see her daughter being brainwashed and harassed repeatedly, tries to free her by eliminating her, as there was no other option left for her. She gets eliminated by Smiley before she could eliminate Charlotte, and ironically, her attempt to save her daughter from Smiley's grasp effectively traumatizes Charlotte, causing the brainwashing to complete. In the present day, the detestable Smiley is still alive and is now in the middle of recuperating. Lunatic tells Charlotte to go to Lighthouse number 8, and if she goes there she can turn into a full Hemetheos unit and she can also find Empress there. Empress is still having a fever and is unconscious while they travel towards Lighthouse number 8. There's a flashback of Bagot, the capital of Columbia, which highlights the importance of Lighthouse number 8, and the Empress, and the other girls' past. Empress was originally an orphan without a name brought to the house. In this flashback, Jessica gives her name by having Empress randomly decide to take a tarot card from her. Jessica introduces herself as the teacher of that orphanage. When the girl pulls out the Empress tarot card, Jessica names her so, symbolizing happiness, affection, and prosperity. Similarly, the other girls have also given the name the same way, with an exception of Dead Master. Dead Master's name was originally the Devil, with her horns made her look like a monster, which she dislikes. However, Empress likes her horns and finds them similar to a forest deer, and she tells her how cool they are. Not only that, Empress also gives her another name from Devil to Dead Master by doing the same thing as Jessica when she gave her name. Dead Master pulls out a Death Tarot card, so Empress renames her Dead Master from Death God. This kindness instantly captivates the timid Dead Master, who considers Empress as her angel from now on. In the present day, Empress is lying over the Dead Master's lap. She finally wakes up and finds out that they are at the location where Lighthouse number 8 used to be. Dead Master tells her that she found no information about the Hemetheos unit here. Strength arrives to tell them that the research lab for the Hemetheos unit is somewhere else, somewhere secret. Lighthouse number 8 is where the girls of Hemetheos unit were gathered and trained. It's an experimental site for making excellent warriors. Even though knowing this, Empress still stayed in the lighthouse because she thinks that she would have passed away if not. This is the same for Strength, as she had lost both her arms when arriving at the lighthouse, and they gave her these huge gigantic arms that she likes. Dead Master, on the other hand, wonders about their part as Hemetheos unit and is unsure about fighting. Empress solidifies the group's motivation to fight and protect their loved ones. The group travels to a mine where they believe the experimental lab was located. Inside, they enter an experimental lab where Monica finds bloodstained cards with a memory chip attached. From the chip, they learn that Jessica knew the possibility of her being eliminated. Therefore, she left a video message that reveals that she's a Hemetheos unit herself, codenamed Stella, but she couldn't complete her transformation because she was too old for that. The video explains that the Hemetheos unit was originally created to protect the Elysian Plan, a project of semi-permanent infrastructure development using a nanomechanism. The lighthouse was built around the world like an orphanage to gather young girls to become the new Hemetheos unit, which was a success. When the Artemis Rebellion broke out, however, the Hemetheos unit was dispatched to fight Artemis and her army, with Empress, Dead Master, and Strength being the only survivors, causing the Elysian Plan to be abandoned and Jessica to go into hiding. She started her normal life and lied to her husband, the Colonel, to protect him, whose real name is David, whom she genuinely loved, and giving birth to Charlotte with him was one true thing in her life. She also believed that Empress and the others would come back, so she left behind a device that can strengthen or erase the Hemetheos unit's power. During her capture, Jessica slipped in a virus in the program of the device, preventing Charlotte to become a full Hemetheos unit, and in hopes that it'll save Charlotte. She tells them that she knew one day Empress will return and launches a pod, and tells them that the Hemetheos unit protein in their body can be recalibrated by entering this pod. The pod has the capability to enhance or erase the power of a Hemetheos unit. They all decide to recalibrate the Empress's body. Empress enters the pod while the dead master detects the educational institute approaching them. David fights against Charlotte. Charlotte punches David, but he doesn't fight back and respond to her punches, and she calls her own father a pervert for not reacting to her punches. We see how deeply Smiley's indoctrination has affected her, as she almost eliminates Colonel before Empress breaks out of her pod and says she won't let Charlotte hurt anyone anymore. The next episode starts with a flashback where the evil lunatic draws a blade in Empress's eye after their final battle years before, and takes her to the place where she has tortured Strength and the dead master. She has tortured them both to the point where their minds broke, and now she turns to Empress to do the same. In the present day, Lunatic attacks Lighthouse number 8 at a place where Strength and Dead Master are taking the watch. She isn't interested in fighting them, so she puts Smiley to fight them. On the other hand, Empress puts Charlotte into a deep sleep. Smiley offers Hemetheo's units to have intimacy with her. They refuse and their fight starts off. They both try their best to stop Smiley, but due to his modification, their attacks are useless on him. Empress uses the power of her coil gun to recharge the batteries of the pod, and they put Charlotte into a recalibration pod. Colonel wakes up and waits for Charlotte to recover. Smiley captures Strength and Dead Master, and there's a flashback that tells us why Smiley was so obsessed with finding a wife and having children. After his creation by Lunatic, Smiley read the popular book, Paradise Lost. Reading the book and knowing his own strength sprouted a feeling of being alone in Smiley, and he longed for a companion. When Smiley confided to Lunatic, she suggested to Smiley harass those girls and found himself a bride who'll give birth to his children, so he won't be lonely. And Smiley, the ever-obedient robot he is, followed Lunatic's suggestion. In the present, Empress finds herself in a difficult spot where on one hand she needs to command the military and on the other, she needs to save Strength and the dead master from Smiley. While she tries to find a way, the Colonel arrives and tells her that he is back commanding the military. He tells Empress to go save her friends while he takes the fight from here. Empress moves quickly to save her friends, and she tells Black Trike that she has to use overdrive. Black Trike warns her that it can damage her own body. Empress tells it that she remembers the last time she used it when she got defeated and captured by Lunatic, which caused her to lose her memory. Black Trike warns her that she can use it only for 10 seconds. She uses the overdrive to increase her speed 10 times, and reaches to rescue her friends. She takes them and runs away from Smiley while he chases them. Strength and Dead Master get a feeling that they were rescued by Empress before, and it follows a flashback of the Dead Master and Strength getting tortured to insanity by Lunatic, who brainwashed them into hating the Empress. When Empress got defeated, Lunatic brought her to them, so Empress used the special hard disk to boost her power and then saved both Dead Master and Strength. This came at the cost of 93% of her own body damage, which led her to the lab facility shown in the first episode, where she recuperated with Black Triker watching over her. The damage she went through caused her memory loss when she woke up. Her friends, having thought she'd abandoned them back then, now understand that she instead sacrificed herself to save them. Empress faces off with Smiley and tells him that he can never reproduce, which makes him even more furious. Charlotte, out of the pod, makes Monica her hostage and confronts Colonel. Colonel tries to calm her down by invoking their past memories, apologizing for not saving them, and talks about Jessica. A landslide occurs and Colonel runs to save Charlotte. On the other hand, Smiley gets the upper hand and catches Empress in his hands. Her friends back her up by diverting his attention. Meanwhile, Empress amplifies her power to multiple strengths and uses her massive gun to fire at him, and this time it turns him into ashes, and he is finally gone.
When Colonel jumps to save Charlotte, she puts a knife in his stomach, and with a drop of blood falling on her face, Colonel tells her that it's better that she eliminates him rather than eliminating others.
He hugs her, and it invokes her memories. She realizes who he is and screams. Later, Monica stitches him up, and he gets on his feet again. Colonel and Empress share a moment of levity on their reunion. In the end, Charlotte wakes up remembering everything and calls him Papa. This episode opens with the beginning of the end of the world. Visana is about to live her remaining life in San Diego while the impacts are occurring, and she witnesses the meteor shower. The Iron Ocean is moving toward the elevator. Soldiers report to the Colonel that a part of the Iron Ocean in North, Central, and South America disappeared, and they might have moved underground. The Colonel tells the Empress and others that Artemis's plan to bring robot soldiers to Earth might not be accurate, because previously there was some limit to the number of things that can travel through it, as Artemis is still just a machine. There's something suspicious about it, that why Artemis really wants to do all this. Artemis was originally built as a terraforming machine, not a combat machine, but it's still creating and organizing a battle, and taking part in it. The Empress and her team arrive at the place to observe the Iron Ocean and the other robots and to make their scheme accordingly. During their discussion about it, they learn that the Iron Ocean is not an Archie storehouse, but a cradle for machine lifeforms. As the Archie is made up of self-evolving, self-replicating nanobots, Iron Ocean's purpose is to transform matter into building material for a mechanical army. And the orbital wasn't originally built to send something from the moon, but instead, it was built to take the essential elements of the Earth to the moon. Later, the group also finds out that the elevator was built to bring the human matter to the moon. They also learn from the soldiers that they detect a machine that is arriving from the moon and the attack will commence in 6 hours. Charlotte is sleeping and recovering from her injuries. Meanwhile, Colonel is surprised to find that she still retains her Hemidios powers. She and Colonel have a nice time bonding together. Empress enters his tent to express her gratitude. Watching Colonel worry about Charlotte, she tells Colonel that she understands that even if Charlotte retains her powers, he still won't want her to fight in battle, because he is a father as well as a soldier. She thanks the Colonel for helping her and teaching her many things during her journey. The Colonel takes up alcohol in his hands and offers her a glass of alcohol, and thanks her for her help before it gets too late. It's the time before the battle when everyone offers their thanks and apologies before they could lose their life. Monica also arrives to say that she is going on her own journey to San Diego now, and her journey with them comes to an end as she has nothing to do in battle, because she is not a soldier. She parts ways after saying goodbye to everyone. She is just a normal human, so it's okay for her to not participate in the battle and everyone seems to understand it very well. Strength, Dead Master, and Empress have heart-to-heart moments as well and they decide to always be the hope of humankind. Charlotte wakes up and is happy to see the Colonel sitting beside her and looking over her. It's good to see their family uniting once again after so long. Charlotte and David deserve all the happiness. David asks her not to fight in the battle, but to keep herself safe and help everyone after the battle because after this battle is over they will need to gain their strength again. And that's where Charlotte can actually help them. With all the goodbyes said, now it's time to step into the battle. The military is ready with its tanks and trucks holding tightly to their machine guns. The military forces decide to fight from 3 directions and attempt to push through the robot forces to get Empress close enough to the orbital elevator to use her coil gun on the elevator and destroy it. Empress and her team are in the 1st Battalion moving towards their goal. The Colonel commands everyone that their first weapon is Empress, but they will also try to destroy it with their anti-tank missiles loose with special thrombotic bullets. He doesn't want to miss any chance to save humanity. With his loud and enthusiastic voice, he commands them to load a portable launcher on getting any opportunity to support Empress. After the Colonel explains the strategy well, they all are ready to enter the battle. They start their fight against the robotic troops, destroying them one by one and making their way forth. Lunatic joins the fight from the other side and causes chaos. She appears to be the strongest enemy they've ever seen. As soon as she arrives, she starts causing massive destruction, and all the tanks get destroyed by her. She fights with the Empress, successfully dodging her every attack. Colonel comes to rescue Empress, but becomes her prey in the end as well. Lunatic attacks the Colonel and he gets badly injured. Empress makes a few attempts to attack Lunatic but fails to cause her any harm. Instead, Lunatic fires back at her and injures her. Lunatic tells them that the Iron Ocean is being sent to the moon. The meteorites from the moon will continue to shower at Earth in a sequence of 30 at a time and come one after the other. Lunatic, in an evil rogue's speech, explains that she was once a terraforming AI, but later she gathered information about the Earth and learned more about it in order to do her job properly. In doing so, she realized she needed data on human extinction and evolution. She surmised that the best way to obtain this data would be to destroy humanity and see how it evolved. She plans to do this many times over millions of years again and again to complete her information. The episode ends with Artemis declaring that collecting data is her greatest desire and the sole driving force behind all her actions. Overall, this episode feels like a prequel to the finale. The stakes are set, the motives are clear, and the goals are set. Let's see if the Empress can defeat the harsh Moon Queen and save humanity. While fighting with Lunatic, Empress and the Colonel both are injured, but one of them needs to eliminate Lunatic and the other has to reach the orbital elevator. Empress tells Colonel to go towards the orbital elevator while she fights with Lunatic and keeps her distracted. Colonel goes on a rampage eliminating many robots while his 2nd Battalion is all destroyed, and the offensive operation has failed. He keeps fighting by shooting them with a machine gun, even though he's outgunned and outmatched by Artemis' mechanical army. On the other side, Monica Kaburagi wants to live and runs away from the battlefield until Monica meets Narito and Mia. And speaking of these two, they seem to see a meteor destroying what is left of humanity. While Narito and Mia are afraid of being caught in a nuclear meteorite collision and thinking about hiding somewhere, they are also worried about Empress, Colonel, and the others. However, upon encountering Monica, Narito changes his mind and decides to join Monica on the battlefield to help everyone in saving humanity. Mia is left behind because she is too young to enter a deadly battle. Colonel fights all the robots only to be saved by Charlotte at the end. He is so overwhelmed by everything, and after watching Charlotte entering into battle and getting injured, he can't stop himself. He tries to save her, and in return, the Colonel is shot in the stomach. Charlotte feels agony and pain for her father like this. She destroys all the robots and begins carrying the Colonel off the field. The Colonel tries to stop her from rescuing him and asks her to save herself, but she doesn't seem to listen, as losing her father again will be too much for her to handle. He sends Charlotte to get the gun from the truck as an excuse to take her gun so he can shoot himself, forcing her to abandon him and save herself. She runs towards her father, but a robot attacks him, destroying him completely. Charlotte also finds herself under attack, but Monica arrives on time with Narito and saves her. The Peacebuilding Corps and the Hemidios units keep on fighting a losing battle against Artemis and her machinations. Deadmaster and Strength part ways so Deadmaster can help Empress get to the elevator. Strength won't be able to make it alone. Strength is in the line trying to hold it against the herd of machines. Unfortunately, when the Hemidios unit is overwhelmed by drones and destroyed limb by limb, their strength is about to wane. Meanwhile, Empress the Black Rock Shooter heads for the orbital elevator until the robots attack the Empress, where Lunatic and her drone landed. To make matters worse, her loyal Black Trike falls into the Iron Ocean. It is truly sad that the Empress, who has overcome every hardship, loses her old partner. Lunatic is extremely deaf when it comes to the emotions of various sentient objects, whether humans or robots, like the Empress's Black Trike. She calls Black Trike a piece of junk. This makes Empress so enraged that she uses the overdrive to drive the Lunatic into a frenzy. Although she used the overdrive key, it still isn't enough against Lunatic, and she gets beaten by her again and destroys herself in the process of using the overdrive. Lunatic gets a bullet in her head from Deadmaster and gets many others in her body, but nothing seems to affect her. On the contrary, she shoots at Deadmaster and makes multiple holes inside of her, and destroys her at the end. When the Moonflake falls to the ground, Lunatic rejoices that his body is just an avatar that represents himself, and that his true body is on the moon. Empress uses her overdrive key to get into her final form. She blasts off Lunatic apart and destroys herself in the process. She finds her friends on the ridge and gives her a happy moment to relive their time together before passing away. It gets followed by a flashback of all the happy and sad moments. The bombardment stopped because of the damage to the orbital elevator, and the Iron Ocean couldn't reach the moon anymore. On the moon, Artemis talks to herself for her benefit, explaining that 70% of the Earth was destroyed during her attack, which is enough to satisfy her at present. She will be able to gather her full strength after 200 years. Until then, she will just watch and observe everything again. 50 years later, Kid Deadmaster and Kid Strength are shown as some kind of their clones playing baseball on a snowy beach. Good-looking 65-year-old Charlotte, who must be a Hemidios mod, seems to be raising them. At the new Kennedy Space Center, the Black Trike AI personality is uploaded to the spacecraft. The adult Narito is in charge of the operation. Mia prepares for her first mission and is mentored by Monica, who is a doctor now. Monica gives Charlotte the Temperance mission call sign, and Mia is given the name Fortune. Their plan is to wipe out the base on the moon. They fly into space inside Black Trike, which has transformed into a spaceship, and on their way they run into space beings, which Black Trike takes out with a plasma blast, but it gets subsequently damaged while doing so. While they were being attacked, Empress shows up, comes to their rescue, and the show ends.